Hello and welcome back to American Truck Simulator. This is immediately following episode 17, which by the time this recording goes live, we'll have probably posted last week. Um, but we decided we're going to take this load of campers to Cheyenne. Now, this is a high dollar, or rather a high value cargo. It's an urgent delivery, which means it's a little bit closer in time than just in time, and it's a fragile cargo. Well, anybody that knows what a camper is knows that it's fragile anyway. And I'm not saying, just in general, I'm saying if you know how they're made, you know how fragile they are. Um, a good gust of wind will destroy them. So we'll go ahead and take that load. Looks like Lumen Auto to rail export. And that'll get us a little bit closer to Wichita and a little bit closer to our goal of being able to buy a second truck and hire a second driver. Now, we already have two trucks in the Wichita terminal. Both of those are my personal uh, runners. And this Kenworth being one of them. And for those of you who have not seen the first half dozen episodes, I've got an old 1950 or 49, 50 or 51 Peterbilt that I have converted more or less into a log hauler that I intend to make a heavy haul truck. Now, I don't know if that's going to be possible or not for that truck, but I haven't really gotten too much into that yet. Now, toward the end of the last episode, I was talking about wanting to go ahead and do, or what I wanted to do with, go ahead and skip fifth gear because we can. I was talking about what we wanted to do in terms of regular haulage when we go to start buying trailers. And I think what I'm going to do is dry van and reefer trailers, refrigerated trailers. Mainly because that's more or less that's more or less where most of my experience is. I had about a week's worth of experience driving flatbed for that ain't for me, thank God. For Western Express, and anybody that knows me well knows the horror story that was. I've already told it on this channel, but I am not going to name names, and I'm not going to point out which episode that story was in because I really don't want to get sued by them. So, if you know, you know. If you don't, it could be any number of horror story. Any number of episodes could have been that story. Um, but yeah, I was talking also about the potential for the heavy haul and the oversized loads and all that, and that's a thing that could be done. As my drivers level up in experience, I could have them haul stuff like that. But yeah, fella, I've got the right of way. You just sit there. Um, the majority of the experience that I've got is in. I'm gonna drive right past it, not even freaking realize it. There it is. Is in dry van. It's in unrefrigerated loads. Now I have driven uh, reefer before. It's not something that I particularly enjoy doing, but okay, there's our load, and we can go ahead and take it. Once we go pick it up, we will. Oh, that's nice. once we go ahead and pick it up. Bonk. That was the mic. That's going to be fun to get into. Jesus. Any driver worth his salt will be able to do it, but that's not. That's going to be fun. Yeah, like I was saying, hit it, but we didn't hit it to damage. We just hit it to figure out where we were. There we go. Like I said, any driver worth his salt will be able to do that. Yeah. My experience with reefer trailers is not. It's limited. I don't particularly enjoy it because of all the extra work that goes along with it. Uh, Maintaining the fuel and the temperature and whatnot. But yeah, it is what it is. Okay, we do not have a truck stop close by that we can scale our load at, so we're kind of pretty well screwed. Ah, we do have one. How about that? And it's right before the scales, so that's good there. And we're going to try and make it at least to Salt Lake before we have to shut down. We had a lot of stop and go nonsense in our last episode. So I'm trying to look here and see where we can go to shut down. That's not a truck stop. That is. It's a little bit out of the way, but we can make that work if we need to. I'm going to try and go as far as Evanston. We'll try for that. And that should get us pretty good ways. Let's see what we've got on our clock here. Yeah, we've got a couple hours. So I'm actually just going to try and make it to Salt Lake. We're not going to worry about Evanston. That'll be a second choice, depending on how close we are. So I don't want to do that. So we'll go here. Cancel that out. Put that in. There we go. And then the one in Evanston will be a second choice if we need to do that. If not, or if we can make it to Evanston, that will be our main choice. If not, we'll stop in Salt Lake. Evanston. If we can't stop in Salt Lake, Evanston will be the second choice. Clear as mud? I hope so, because it didn't make a damn bit of sense to me. Anyway, we've got our load hooked up, and we've got our route planned. We're going to try and avoid hitting any cars possible, or all the cars possible, depending on what kind they are. Get in fourth. There we go. All right. So this kind of load you can actually haul with a pickup truck. Although, personally, I don't recommend hauling a fifth wheel with a pickup truck, even though a lot of people do it. I just don't think it's really a good idea. And we're going to be back down into first. Oh, too fast. Or too fast of a stop there. But yeah, the amount of work involved with reefer trailers, to me, for what they pay, is just really not entirely worth it. Which is why I prefer dry van, if at all possible. Because you can haul just about anything. Granted, you can haul just about anything in a reefer trailer. You've got to make sure they're food grade clean if you want to pick up any kind of refrigerated load. with a dry van, you just have to basically ensure that it's clean and that the floor isn't rotten. And I've got a I've got a story about that one too. Man, I was livid about that one. I searched up and down. I knew that this place wanted a clean, stable trailer. And I searched up and down for a couple of hours to try and find a trailer that would work for them, and I cleaned it out. Yeah, cleaned it out, inspected it, went out and went to the shipper, and they refused the load. They said the trailer's not clean and the floor's rotten. Well, what they were calling not clean was a little bit of dust on the floor from having driven down the dirt road to get to them, which can seep in through the door, through the gaps in the rear doors. And what they were calling a rotten floor was a few chips in the floor where the forklift drivers, because they are not paid enough to give a damn, and half of them are on drugs anyway, scraped the forks and gouged out the floor. There was one little area right there by the door that had this, and they told me that I could not use that trailer, that they would not accept it because it wasn't clean and the floor was rotten. And I looked at the lady, I said, "Ma'am, this is the best trailer this company's got. If you don't like it, I'm sorry, but you know, there's not a whole lot that I can do to help you." And she says, "Well, you're just going to have to find another trailer." Well, I guess we were a little bit further along than our route planning than I thought. I thought we had a scale before that, or a truck stop with a scale before that. Guess not. Oh, we can go 80 now. How about that? 75. But anyway, I told my dispatcher what was going on there, and he says, "All right, we'll find you another trailer, but we've really got to have this load out." I says, "I can't guarantee it'll be on time if I've got to search for another load or another trailer." And they said, "All right, well, we'll get you another trailer and don't worry about it." 3.5 hours later, had another trailer, and they said, "Nope, that one's not clean enough." I said, "All right, I'll go and sweep it out again, but I'm not coming back if you reject it a third time. If you reject me a third time, I'm not coming back." So I went back and I swept it out a second time. And I went back. The lady went in, looked at the trailer. She says, I really should reject this, but I think it'll be okay." I said, "That's good, because I wouldn't have come back. I would have asked my boss, or I would have asked my dispatcher for a different load, and you would have been shit out of luck." So, yeah. That's kind of the worst thing that you got to deal with regarding dry van, is whether or not the floor is rotten and whether or not it's got dirt and dust in it. With a reefer, you've got a whole myriad of problems that you've got to maintain, and it's always on the driver to maintain these. It's never on maintenance to maintain these trailers. And you've got to make sure the door seals are in good shape. You've got to make sure that the trailer gets a thorough food grade washout. You've got to make sure that the fuel is at the right level. And there are companies, shippers, that will refuse a truck if there's not enough fuel in the trailer at the time of pickup. I've seen it, I've had it happen, and it's a load of horse shit. because you can always fill that trailer up afterward. You can always keep fuel in that trailer. Your dispatcher knows, the route planner knows, the load brokers, they know how much fuel is in that trailer. Everything's communicated. Once you send in your fuel load or your fuel level for that trailer, they know how much you can put in. And yep, I figured as much. It was further past that scale. Oh well. That's alright, we can still pull in and... Huh. I think I got a little bit of a loose wire on this switch. But that's alright. We will make it work. There, I did like everybody else. Got down to 20 mile an hour before I moved over. And it made them all mad. Good. But yeah, basically everybody knows what condition that reefer trailer is in before you send it out to pick up a load. The only people that really don't is the shippers. Now, I'll grant you, there's a few things that are justifiably up to the driver. Ah, shit. Thought I was turning my signal on, and it's on the same switch, so, or it's on the same button. just depends on whether I hold it or... Alright. Oh, come on. Figure out what the hell you're going to do, fella. If you're just going to sit your ass there, then I'm going to go. Get fifth gear. No right turn. Well, I don't want to make a right turn right there. I don't know if I just went from 6 to 7 to 6 or not. We're going to go into the truck, or into the scale. Get ourselves scaled out, so that we're absolutely sure that we're the right weight. Heavier than it looks, isn't it? 60,000 pounds, or 50,000 pounds, at thereabouts. Buddy. We're on our way. We're just going to take the back roads here. Because we don't really need to try and get in anywhere else. Let's see if there's anybody coming. There's not. Watch we get hit. Huh, how about that? We managed to avoid it. Okay. So yeah, I was just thinking, you know, what trailers we should probably get for this company. And I'm thinking dry van, reefer, heavy haul stuff. But it may end up being that we really don't get a whole lot of trailers. In terms of, you know, what we can haul, what we can't haul. Because the trailers, if we buy the trailers, it actually kind of limits us to specific things. Whereas right now, we can haul just about anything we want. And I haven't seen a whole lot of heavy haul, you know, high dollar loads. Okay. So I know I can bypass. What's this guy gonna do? He's gonna bypass. Alright. He's gonna slow down, but he's gonna bypass. Thank you. Get the hell out of the road. Watch him come back over right in front of me. And we are doing 80. So I know this truck can do 80. That's nice. That's the fastest we're ever going to get in this game. Legally. Man, I moved over and nobody's doing the speed limit. Ain't that nice? My hand on the Jake brake. Hopefully this guy gets moving a little bit. I made 5.5 from driver. Five two, I should say. And he leveled up. How about that? Level up a little bit faster if he were to take longer runs, but he probably can't get longer runs. Thank you. Because I can do the speed limit. Y'all can't, apparently. I'm flying by all these people. So when we shut down, regardless of where we actually shut down, we are going to end up getting fuel. That's just kind of a guaranteed thing at this point. I don't like to run the tanks completely dry. I would prefer to, you know, only run them about half down. And then fuel up like we're at now, roughly about half. 3/4. But you know, it whatever happens happens, and sometimes that's not always an option, but I prefer to keep fuel in the truck most of the time. Oh, we're gonna do 75. There we go. So we're coming up on Salt Lake. We're going to see if our clock will allow us to go further. I think it should, but I'm almost not wanting to take the chance. So I think we will go ahead and pull in here. Go ahead and just work our way down. Yeah, I didn't think it would be too good of an idea to try and go for our longer range stop. I mean, we've got enough we'll have enough hours after this to make our delivery, I do believe. Yeah. So we'll go ahead while we're sitting here and we'll clear out the far stop. Okay. That should be enough to get us to where we're going. So I think we'll be okay in terms of time. Yeah, we've got 24 hours to get 400 miles. That's plenty of time. And since we got pinged the last time we didn't stop for a light, we will do so now. Trucks in there. Well, we're going down here to this entrance. We'll go back in a little ways. Because all we're doing in here is sleeping. Kind of want to go a little bit backwards. All right. So we'll go ahead and get a rest. Looks like we got some rain falling. And we will go ahead and we'll go ahead and fuel up here too. Now technically we're approaching these from the back, but I think we'll be alright. Alright, I will be right back. Alrighty, well, that was a $600 expenditure that we kind of needed to make. Yeah, it says do not enter, but to hell with that, we're going to go backwards anyway. And you got to do what you got to do sometimes, and sometimes that's all you can do. Is just go backwards to everything. But yeah, I'm still trying to decide on trailers, and we can look at. I mean, that's going to be a later date anyway, but we could look at possibly buying trailers for our drivers. See if we can't get some decent decent income out of them in that respect. Skip 5th gear. Just because we can. Back out on the highway and continue the run. We got plenty of time to get there. Tells me to use the exit, and I was using the exit, and then it tells me to move over. Let's see where we end up here. What the deal is with my Jake brake switch now. And you have to go in and tear into this thing and refit that wire. Seems to be working now. It's kind of weird. Get the... Thank you. Get some actual momentum build up. Maybe I can start climbing with some actual speed. Okay. Now we're doing the speed limit. Hopefully this guy... There we go. Okay. So, as of right now, we have 90% of the funds, I think 95 or 99% of the funds for another truck. Now, we're not going to buy another truck this episode. That's not really necessary. But technically we could, because we'd be using the online dealer, but at this particular point in time, I don't want to get too into buying another truck and hiring another driver, because that's going to put us basically the same situation as we did the last truck we bought, and putting us maybe with $100 in our pocket. And we need enough to manage any kind of damage that we get from my own inability to drive correctly, drive the way I should. And it didn't set. Yep, that figures. They're going to tell us that our truck's not in pristine order. 5 will get you 10. That's exactly what they're going to say. Alright. Yep, wow. How about that? They actually told us it was in good condition. Get back out on the highway and continue on. Get in gear. $75 again. Now, hopefully, this guy's not even doing close to the speed limit. Hopefully, we can make this load and have enough to buy another rig. And I'll show you guys what we've got in terms of a company livery. I mean, my trucks are kind of decorated the way I want them to be decorated, but the actual company trucks are not. When I go to get one of the company level trucks for regular haulage, if I get one, I'll have a little bit different of a design, but I will show you guys what we're looking at. That is, of course, assuming that we have enough to get another one. If we don't, that part of the video will not, or that part of this recording will not make it into the video. But that's something that remains to be seen. Let's just ride it down. There we go. And we're back up to 80. And we got 313 miles to go. We're making up about 20 minutes every hour. 10 minutes every hour, thereabouts. If we were making up 20 minutes an hour, I'd be surprised. But I don't think we are. I don't know the math for that, but we're making up some time. But yeah, we'll definitely see what we get by the end of the season. You know, by episode 20, and hopefully by then we'll have a couple of more trucks and a couple of one or two more headquarters, you know, terminals. Are we back up to 75? Yes, we are. But yeah, we will see where we end up with that. I said in my last episode, which I just recorded here about an hour ago, that it would probably be a couple of more days of recording But since I'm here now, it's liable to be the last 4 episodes of this season are going to get knocked out today, just in a marathon session here, because they're only about an hour, 10, 20 minutes a piece. So, I mean, I'm awake right now, so it's not a half bad chance to do some recording. But yeah, this season might be ready to come to an end here pretty quick. And of course, this guy's doing 50. Can't be bothered to do the speed limit until I get right up on his ass. Gotta fly away like, ha ha ha, I made you put on your brakes. Yeah, typical four-wheeler. Back up to 80. And by God, if I can do it, I'm gonna. Because I want to be able to make up that amount of time. I don't want to have to putz around at 20 below the speed limit just because somebody can't put their foot on the floor. You know, if I was in a governed truck, that'd be a little bit different of a story, because you can govern trucks at any speed you want them to be, but owner ops, you shouldn't have to. I know there's a lot of places that they do. Damn it, govern the owner ops trucks or the lease ops, but I personally don't agree with that. I think if you buy the truck, it ought to be able to do whatever speed you want it to. There's a lot of companies that won't let you have an ungoverned truck either. There was a guy, when I was in orientation with Knight, there was a guy that had his own truck. He didn't make it through orientation, but that same note, he was a farmer, and farmer's a 4-letter word in the trucking industry. He was in orientation, had a truck of his own, wasn't governed, and didn't meet the age requirement for the company. So he walked out. Honestly, I can't blame him. But I question why he actually walked out, because like I said, you know, a farmer is a 4-letter word in the trucking industry, and that is mainly because a lot of them are not required. You know, if they only drive intrastate, which is inside their own state, they don't have to fill out logs, and that legitimately, if you know, they've got different rules for farmers versus OTR drivers. Farmers don't have to fill out logs if they're within like 150 air miles, so basically anywhere in a state. Like, I could get, if I wanted to drive intrastate and didn't want to fill out logs, from where I live right now, near Wichita, I could go to Oklahoma City, to Kansas City, to Dodge City, Colby, Kansas, pretty much anywhere in the state of Kansas, I wouldn't have to fill out a logbook. And because most farmers are owner operators, they're not required to take drug tests. So you got to wonder. Now they are required by law to fill out to get medical cards. You have to have that to get your CDL. Speed back up to 80. I didn't realize we'd gone back up. But you have to have medical cards, and they don't do drug tests with the medical cards unless you specifically ask for it. And I just knocked my microphone again, but we're back down to 75. I shouldn't even have touched the frickin' cruise control. Microphone back in place. There we go. Hopefully that didn't cause too much of a problem. Okay. Well, we're getting pretty close. We're within 100 miles. And nobody up here is doing the speed limit. Again. And dude can't make up his mind what lane he wants to be in. Hopefully he moves back over before we get to him. So I'm not going to wait on him. He can just look like a fool. So we see how close I'm getting to this car in front of me. Now, typically you don't want to do that while you're driving a semi. You want to have at least a good 10 to 20 car lengths between you and the person in front of you. For safe following distance. Now, that's not the point of me bringing that up. What the point was you know, people are talking about this whole adaptive cruise control thing, and I don't particularly care for it. Yeah, there we go. Do 65. I don't particularly care for it because if the guy in front of you slows down, you're going to end up slowing down too. And before you know it, you're doing about 40 miles an hour down the highway because somebody's on their phone or on their laptop, or they're eating breakfast or lunch or, you know, some other stupid thing. And honestly, if you're paying attention, you don't need things like adaptive cruise control or CMS, or what's called CMS, collision mitigation systems. You don't need things like that. If you're paying attention, which, as we've seen multiple times in the last several videos, I wasn't completely paying attention. And we're back up to 75, of course. Okay, so we're good there. I was going to say, watch, about the time we get our cruise control actually set, we'll have to slow down again, but we didn't. Yeah, full disclosure, you know, I can look down at something or not really realize how close you are to somebody else and just plow right into the back of them, like in this game, like you've seen. Oh, come on, dude. Figure out what the hell speed you want to go and do it. I gotta move over anyway. But, yeah, it's one of those deals where if you're actually paying attention to what you're doing, you do not need even half of these so-called safety systems that these trucks have nowadays. Now, I don't know what lane we need to be in, but we're going to camp out in the slow lane for right now. Okay, that looks like it might be the right choice. Camp out in the slow lane. We'll come back here before we end our episode. I don't know why I just pointed. I don't have a webcam, so you guys can't see me. But we'll come back to this truck stop before we end the episode. And we'll take a look at our purchase menu for a new fleet truck, and we'll hire another driver if we've got the money to do so. If not, we will wait on both of those for the next episode, because by then we will have enough. Absolutely sure of that. Bless it. Helps if I don't unintentionally hold down the dang button. Okay, never ever ever do that. Never ever ever shift gears while you're going over a railroad track, because I guarantee you it'll screw up your shift just like it did mine. Really? You fucking kidding me? The gate was open. Why did... Jesus Christ. Gate was open. We were clear. Fucking hitbox. Alright. Where do we... Somewhere over in there. Let's take a look. We're just gonna block their lane here. Yep. Alright. We will make this happen one way or another. We got miles. Alright. We got miles. Watch me fuck it up. Like I said, setting up these backing maneuvers is not my strong suit. But a lot of times it's easier than you might think. I remember one of my trainers, he had a trick. And what he would do is he'd put 2 Gatorade bottles down in the hole that he wanted his student to park in. He'd put one on one corner, or one on one stripe, one on the other. And he said, I want you to back in between those two Gatorade bottles. And they'd be empty. They would be empty, so you wouldn't see them. He said, I want you to, the only thing you'd really see is the caps on them. If he wasn't feeling particularly jaunty that day, and take the caps off of them, um, he'd tell you, I want you to back in between those two bottles. And if you hit either one of them, you owe me a drink. And he made good on that several times. He had a lot of people buy him new sodas and stuff. All right, so go ahead and decouple that. Call that good. We should level up here. I could be wrong. We might. Yeah, we are going to level up here. How about that? All right. So, and see, I'm just like I've said before. We're just going down the list. I'm going to go ahead and grab this one up here, and that is, yeah, we got this one right here, Class 6. So now we can haul everything in. I'm not going to read it all, but you guys can see it. So now we can haul that, and we're just going to keep moving down the list. It just gives us better and better loads every time we move down. So let's go back into our navigation here, and since it's just right up the road, but I'm going to go ahead and set the. Actually, we're going to go over here to this repair station, because we can get into that truck stop through the back end of that lot. So we'll do that, and we'll go and repair the truck and call it an episode. We'll take a look at the company livery and the can I get out through here? Yes. And we'll look at possibly picking up another driver. Well, I can tell you why I hit the fence now. Kind of a catty corner thing there. Alright, I'm not going to bother stopping because there's not going to be anybody on this road. We'll stop here though, even if we run it. Now, when I was learning how to drive semis in general, I was driving in a 1999 Freightliner Cascadia. Had a 10-speed, just like this one has. And you guys just saw me go through 5 gears before I made my turn. Now, typically, that's how it should be. This game does not behave like this game does not behave entirely accurately to real life. So, at least not that I've seen. So, that's a pretty good deal for why my shifting is not as good as it otherwise would be. Now, the shop is probably closed, but that does not matter. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and service the truck. We're just going to go ahead and replace everything. Get rid of all the damage. And we're going to go into the configurator here, see if there's anything new. That's just something that I do just to do it. Ah, interesting. We've got a new thing. We're not going to put this on, but we've got a new thing there. Now we don't. I don't think we've got a new engine that we can put in. Nope. Do we have a new? No. Okay. We got 13 and 18. But I'm not going to put them in. I'm very happy with what I've got right now. No. There we go. No, that's not what I want. The accessories. That's what I want. Oh, we do have some new stuff. How about that? Driver's plate. Ah. Okay, what's that? We'll take a look at that right now, because I'm actually kind of curious about that. Do not bank. Okay. Okay. So we can do that. What's this? GPS 1 off-board computer. Okay. That's fine. We'll deal with that. That's set up right there. What's this? GPS, we don't need that. Main mirrors. Oh, interesting. Mirror cameras. Huh. Interesting. That's interesting. It looks like that's about it. I'm not going to bother with wheels and tires and hubs and all that good stuff. That looks like that's about it for that. Let's see if there's anything new in here. Driver's plate. No, that's what we've got now. GPS. No. Items. No. Windshield corner. No. It'd be nice if we could get a new, or get a front mirror for the driver's side. That would be nice. Okay, that looks like that's everything that we can do in here. Yeah, you can get a, oh, we can, maybe. Nope. Nope. Okay. Well, shoot. I was hoping we could get a main mirror, or get a front mirror for the driver's side, but we can't. Sucks, but that is what it is. That would be very helpful, as a matter of fact, to have that. So we're going to go ahead and just have that OF computer there as an add-on. So that's that. That's that. Now let's go in and we'll go into company, truck manager. No, truck dealer. That's it. We want a Peterbilt dealership. Well, the closest one is in Casper, Wyoming. Let's see what we can do buy online. I'm curious about that. Huh, interesting. Okay, so it's basically just the online version of what's actually in the store. So we're going to go in and we're going to take a look at our fleet. That's not what I want. There's our fleet truck. There's our standard for our company drivers. Now this has an 18 speed in it, and it has a 625 horsepower engine, and this sucker will make some miles. So we're going to go ahead, and it looks like list price $225. Yeah, I think we can manage that. That'll give us some money. So money left over. So we'll go ahead and purchase another one of those. No, I don't want to drive it. We want it to go to Washington, and we want to put it in slot number 2. And that's good there. All right. And we want to go ahead and hire another driver. So we'll go into a recruitment agency, hire a driver. Let's see, is there anybody worth hiring here? Well, okay, so it looks like Peter here is the only one really worth hiring. He's got the most endorsements, and that looks all right. We'll hire him, and we'll put him in Washington as well with the new truck. And that'll get us a second driver. So that's cool. All right. So if you guys enjoyed what you saw on this episode, leave a like and a comment. Let me know what you liked, what you didn't like. And if you're a professional driver like I used to be, leave some of your stories, your good stories, your bad stories. Leave some tips and tricks for how to make this game a little bit easier. Whether you're a professional driver or you play this game for your channel, I'm always open to hints and tips and tricks, both in real life and not real life. So, I'm always open for that. If you want to support the channel, you can subscribe here on YouTube. But for now, I want to go ahead and say thank you guys again for joining me here today, and I will see you on the next one.